You think it could have?
Yeah. Well,
Right. They think it could have been, I don't know, they don't know what, how it happened.
his knees were bothering.
His knees were bothering him, but that was part of the problem, is that the infection was right there. And apparently those kinds of joints actually hold the infection in there. And he already had real pain in his knees. So it was an awful, awful, awful. So, I mean, but it's inspiring. Before we turn the cameras, just for God, before I turn the microphones on, I do want to say to those of you who are here, it means an awful lot. Gary said it perfectly to me about it. Say, I hate to be with people who are not discriminating against the gospel. That's how we rabbis in Canada conclude. And we would certainly have graciously led the camera like we did throughout the pandemic, if that were what tonight was. But the camera gives you nothing back if you won't be. And so your presence would mean a lot, not only to one another, but to us. So,
Do you remember the performers on Zoom during the pandemic? Performing just
Oh.
no feedback. Worldwide performers, dancers and singers.
every night I had my laptop open and I was trying to remote through a little dot. My laptop. Very strange.
Yes, all of that.
Very strange. This is, oh, you definitely are hitting the spot for us tonight. We are grateful. We have all of we have a lot of those special
The air
things.
purifiers?
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
have
yeah.
two running
So we're
in
like
the
pumping them in all the spots that we're in. So it
Yeah.
wasn't that bad at all. But here it's like right.
God. That's loud.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I want to make sure you have a copy of the prayer book and a copy of the supplemental page. They're right there together at the very back of the Beit Midrash. Please make sure you have a copy of both. Try that with us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is not hyperbolic to say that we are marking Shabbat at the end of a historic week. A week that none of us will ever forget as long as we live. A week that has changed each and every one of us, some in ways painful and tangible, and all of us in tangible ways of the soul, of the spirit, of our sense of stability, security, understanding, so many questions about our future arising in our hearts and souls from this week. I want to welcome all of you who are worshiping with us from your homes, from friends' homes, wherever it is that you are joining us here in this sanctuary tonight. We are together to dip into the well of our shared human experience. Rabbi Goldberg wrote about this beautifully in the message that he sent out to our membership this morning, that people need people in moments like this. And acknowledging, of course, that it is a tough time to be out and about. I want to acknowledge first, of course, all of you who are here with us in the Beit Midrash, but of course, all of you who are with us in the Beit Midrash by extension. You and we are one. on this Shabbat evening. And what I want to do before we dive into making our Shabbat prayers, first I want to point out that they come like clockwork every single week. Even if you have no idea that the week that is about to begin may be filled with history-making stuff, sometimes of an extraordinarily joyful sort, other times of a painful sort, such as the week now ended here in Los Angeles. You can't know what the week ahead will bring, but the one thing you can know, and you can literally clock your life by it, is that Shabbat time will be here to help us regulate the passages of our lives. That at the end of each and every week, we will have the opportunity to take the metaphorical step back, take notice of what has taken place, of how we are situated within that lived experience, and hold it a little bit more separate from our grander, larger selves, so that as opposed to being immersed only in the painful minutia of this week now ended, there might be space for the greater spirit that we all seek to summon on Shabbat, that Shabbat was created in our people as a receptacle of, that we could find it once per week, and that time wouldn't just rush together in a meaningless procession of days, that there would be each week an opportunity to take the metaphorical step back, name what has taken place, for blessing, for curse, for hard, for easy, for good, for bad. Name it, hold it, and contextualize it. Place it in its proper perspective. And even in a week like this past one, which has brought so much pain and has left all of us rightly filled with fear, even in such a week, there is a greater understanding of our lives beyond even the terror of this week. That is what Shabbat comes to remind us of. Our souls, our spirits, our very lives are the substance of who we are. And so, I want to invite everyone, mindful of all of the recollections from this week, the images that you've seen either with your own eyes or on your television or on your phone, to take all of that the way we're supposed to do as Shabbat arrives and place it not away but to the side, so that there's a little bit more space inside you for the holiness, the redemption, the taste, the foretaste of what can be that Shabbat is supposed to represent in our lives. Let each of us here in this space, here with us in this space from wherever you are meeting us, let us each take some quiet moments right now to notice our breath, which is our life, not any of the material content of this world, but our very breath, our neshama. Our breath is what carries our souls. Your soul entering in and out of your body, sustaining you, assuring you that this today is filled with possibility, even in dark times, even quite literally with clouds of smoke overhead. The sustenance of your soul coming in and out of your body. We will be. We have one another. We have the air that fills our lungs. We have the vision that lights our eyes. We have the great gift of one another's company. The gift of being together in a time that feels lonely. The imagery of this Shabbat service is filled with hopeful images. We're supposed to dream about what a world fully redeemed might look like and how we can be a part of leading one another there. if ever there was a week in our shared life where we needed those visions, to summon them and to gift them to one another, this is that week. May this Shabbat bear that restoration for us all. If you'll turn to page 10 in the prayer book. The words of the psalmist. We tend to take them for granted. We're just singing Hine Matov again. Think about what it says. Behold how good, how pleasant it is for us just to have one another. After a week that has taught us valuable lessons about our life, let us not take for granted the great gift that we are to and with one another. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Please join us. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Sometimes when we arrive here for our Shabbat services, our minds are not here, they're elsewhere, and I would imagine today, most of our minds are not here. So I want to challenge us today, if we possibly can, to pray, to really take this opportunity to open our hearts and our thoughts to prayer. It's the one constant we have. And so I want to share with you a prayer written by a teacher of mine, Rabbi Karen Kadar. It's entitled, Hold Me in Prayer. My heart is broken. The weight of it all bears down upon me. I am bent over, crumbling and diminished, and through my tears, my confusion, I have a thought, a glimmer, or maybe an invitation from the invisible one. If my heart is already broken, cracked open, why not spend some time looking inside? And so, I offer this prayer. This most difficult and vulnerable moment, this moment of sorrow and pain and uncertainty has opened my heart. Before the healing, help me linger, exposed, aware, unafraid, willing to understand my heart, my soul, my fears, my brokenness, my depth, myself. Expansive God, hold me. Hear my prayer. Continue on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh, Havarachaman, Havarachaman. עבדך אל רצונך אל רצונך ידיד נפש הב הרחמן הב הרחמן משוך עבדך אל רצונך אל רצונך ירוץ עבדך כמו היער ישתחווה
אל מול הדרך
ידיד נפש הרחמן הב הרחמן משוך עבדך אל רצונך אל רצונך
We'll now turn in our Sidurim to page 20 for Lecha Dodi, as we officially greet this moment of separation in our week, Shabbat.
Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi Ya la 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 Likrat Kala Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi Ya la 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 Likrat Kala Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat Pnei Shabbat Nekavela זכור בדיבורך ישמענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה יא לה לה יא לה 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 Lecha Dodi יא לה 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 לקראת גאלה יא לה 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 פני שבת פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם מסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יאללה לי יאללה לה 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 Lecha Dodi יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 בני שבת בני שבת נקבלה
verse 5. Verse 5.
Hitoreri, hitoreri, kivaorech, kumiori, uri, shidaberi, kivod Adonai, alayich nigla. Yalalala lecha dodi, yalalala likrat kala, yalalala b'nei Shabbat nekabel.
We'll rise, face the entrance. Verse 9.
Boi v'shalom, hateret bala, gam b'simcha ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה מוי חלה מוי חלה yalalala lecha dodi, yalalala likrat kala, yalalala b'nei Shabbat nekabela, yalalala lecha dodi, yalalala likrat kala. Yalalala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We'll remain standing. We'll turn in our Sidurim to page 28 for our Baruchu. Page 28.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai. Baruch Adonai HaMorah Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai.
In the middle of page 31, a familiar reading. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Our Shema can be found on page 34. We'll take a few seconds just to ground ourselves.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם
מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
From across the country, Rabbi Evan Schultz prays for us with words written recently. God, on the day you created fire, did you realize? Did you know? It would possess the brutal force to devastate and destroy and uncreate? Because today it has. Your children are crying. Their homes gone, uncreated. Please, God, pray for them. Give them the strength to recreate. He continues, I don't want to bring more fire into the world tonight. The very flames that bring weekly joy and light have taken and taken until there is no more. When the Sabbath bride enters our pain-filled souls, I will gather her near and recite Lehadlik Ner. But I cannot guarantee that my salted tears will not extinguish and overwhelm the light. For us tonight, when we recite Mi Chamocha, let our tears not be used to extinguish or overwhelm the light. My hope, may our tears rather be a reminder for us to bring the fresh water and sustenance and hope needed for all those who need it. Mi Chamocha can be found on page 40.
Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אליהם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אליהם. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai.
We've reached the point in our service when we ask God for protection. And it seems like asking God for protection hasn't gotten us very far. So today, instead, let's ask God for protection for the first responders, for the people that are putting their lives on the line in order to save our own. Let's sing our Hashkivenu for them, for all those in our community who are suffering and who need just a roof over their house now. Of their head, their heads. So let's join together in Hashkivenu. You can find it on the bottom right-hand side of your supplement.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom V'ha'amidenu Malkeinu L'chaim Ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha Ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha Amen beneath thy wings. O Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Our Amidah is our prayer together when we are closest to the divine, to God, to ourselves. It's a chance for us to recite the most ancient words in our tradition. We can use those words on the tradition, or we can feel free to have moments just for our own inner workings of whatever we need to do on this evening. Our Amidah begins on page 46. It's a standing prayer, so in all the ways that we're able, please rise. We'll recite the first few prayers together, and following it'll be a moment of silent reflection and meditation.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imavot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia. Mashiva ruach umorit hagashem, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukedoshim b'chol yom, Yehalelucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We'll continue silently through page 62, and we'll be seated whenever we're finished.
More and more lately, I'm recognizing that perhaps we never actually left the wilderness. Rather, instead, we've veered off to forks in the road that lead us to light. And then we find ourselves back in the wilderness again, and it's quite a paradox. And again, my teacher, Rabbi Karen Kadar, shares these words entitled To the God of Enigma. I understand paradox. I really do. Memory is alive. Exposed down to the bark, the tree is so real, essential, without distraction. It just is. And look, the silver bark of a tree, having lost its leaves, is a glistening sheen. You may have lost all hope because the leaves, with so much beauty, have betrayed their loveliness and fallen to the muddled ground and left you bare and cold and exposed. But the stripped down tree is about hope. It is like a sculpture, alive with light and strength, majestically arching its branches here and there, reaching like the arms of the ballerinas who have practiced their pose to delight and awe. Because the tree remembers that it is connected to the mind of the Ancient One. It knows a singular truth. All will change and change again. And the starkness will disappear behind the buds, and then the bloom, and then the leaves, and then the fall. And memory is alive. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yoma. Ami Yomar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem. Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem. Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem.
Shabbat Shalom. There were a myriad of reasons as to why Lizzie and I selected New Orleans as our destination of choice over New Year's this year. We both love delicious food. We cherish exploring new places together for the very first time. And we value spending time with loved ones who were there. It was also confirmed by many Leo Beckers, including Glenn Gottlieb, that New Orleans is a special place. And we received hand-picked recommendations from many. It seemed to be a perfect match. On December 31st, after dinner, we walked up and down the bustling streets of the French Quarter where our hotel was located. If you have ever visited New Orleans, you would know that Bourbon Street was likely full of chaotic joy. Everyone who was there for one reason. They were there to party, they were there to dance, and they were there to celebrate and rid all of their worries away. That's it. As we walked, we were beckoned by jazz clubs and dueling piano bars. We were sardines in a can, impossible to tread forward without brushing shoulders with a fellow neighbor, a kind neighbor, others who were visiting for all the same reasons that we were visiting. Because we are early birds, we went to bed around 10 o'clock. And so when we woke up the next morning, we were shocked to receive countless calls and voicemails and text messages and emails from loved ones across the country. Friends, are you okay? I really hope you aren't there right now. You guys all right? I saw that it's awful over there. Scott and Liz, are you safe right now? There's scary news about New Orleans. We had no idea what they were talking about. We were asleep. And when we realized what had happened, we were shocked. We were lucky. But the 14 mostly young folk who were killed by a terrorist and the dozens who had been injured while they were celebrating, they were not. Nor were their family members whose loved ones were rapidly torn away from them on what was supposed to be an evening of pure, raw celebration. On our way back to the airport after our trip, our taxi driver shared that the younger brother of his best friend had died. And when he shared, he looked numb. Fast forward to this past week. Again, the experience of receiving messages and calls from loved ones. Many of us may have had this experience as well this week. I can't believe it happened again. Checking in on you during this scary time. LA seems scary right now. I don't remember whereabouts in LA you live, but I hope you're safe there from the fires. Hey Scott, I'm thinking a lot about you right now. I hope you're okay, and I hope your community is okay too. No pressure to respond. I imagine it's tough right now. The impact of the Palisades fire has been and continues to be to this very moment devastating and unspeakable. The tens of thousands of acres burned and burning, the thousands of buildings burned and burning, the 1.5 million power outages and counting. And for us, hundreds of our own LBT community members have been impacted, seeking safety, evacuating, and reeling in shock. Some have lost their homes. Many do not know what the future will hold. I do not know what to say, and so I will let our tradition speak for us tonight. When we do not know what to say, our tradition contains literature and commentaries dedicated to how we, the Jewish people, express our shock when we encounter catastrophe, or in this case, over the past 2 weeks, catastrophes, plural. Our literature of shock is rooted in the Book of Lamentations, and we read these words to give language to any awful occurrence that has happened throughout Jewish history. In biblical times, it was decreed upon our ancestors that they would die in the wilderness and not enter the land of Israel. We read Lamentations. In 586, before the Common Era, the temple was destroyed. We commemorate that on this day, the 10th of Tevet. We recite Lamentations. In 70 of the Common Era, the temple was destroyed a second time, this time by the Romans, and we recite Lamentations. Some scholars suggest that we recite Lamentations on the anniversary of October 7th. When destruction hits the Jewish people, when we are in shock due to loss of people, of cities, of homes, when we are in shock of knowing how to live again, there is nothing to say and there is no magic wand to wave that will make it better. But our tradition teaches us that the way in which the rabbis wrote and the way in which the rabbis recited Lamentations can teach us a lesson tonight. How did they write it? See, the Book of Lamentations is a series of 5 biblical poems written after the destruction of the first temple. Its contents are painful to read, but what I believe is more shocking is the way in which the book is written. The book is an eerily beautiful Hebrew acrostic poem. The poem begins, "Alas," started with an aleph. "Lonely sits the city once great with people. She was great among nations, has become like a widow." The poem continues with a bet. "Bitterly she weeps in the night, her cheek wet with tears. There is none to comfort her of all her friends." The 22 Hebrew letters form the first chapter of the Book of Lamentations, a perfect 22-verse chapter showing that one Jewish way to respond to catastrophe, to shock, is to at least to attempt to make order. And that's how they wrote it. They made order. How did the rabbis recite Lamentations? The Book of Lamentations is not meant to be studied in Torah study. It's not meant to be used as part of a sermon. It can be, but its original ritualistic purpose is to be recited in a dark room with Jews sitting on the ground, chanting in a trope that's dirge-like. Our people would chant the Hebrew while they are at their lowest points physically to evoke what they actually experience emotionally. Our people would cry and wail until streams would tear down our faces. Now, this ritual might feel a little strange in our contemporary, mostly secular society, but I believe it provides great wisdom for us now when we are arising from one catastrophe and living currently through the shock of another in this moment. What can it teach us? This second lesson? It's okay to feel our feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to sit on the floor and weep if you need to. And it's okay to feel afraid. For us, when we feel as though our world is caving in or breaking down, no matter for what reason, we can follow how our ancestors wrote and recited Lamentations. We can create order, and we can be okay with our feelings. Just as the rabbis created order, we can create order too. Because right now, when we may be fearing for the sake of our lives or the lives of our family members or the loss of our home or the homes of our loved ones, we need to create order and we need to take care of ourselves. We need to ensure that everyone in our circles are safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Take care of your neighbors. This weekend, call 5 Leo Beckers to check in. It's orderly and it's compassionate, and it doesn't take much time. If you need support, reach out. And if you can offer support, reach out. It feels like a sprint. This is a marathon. This may be the beginning. And just as the rabbis recited Lamentations, evoking all of their feelings, Thus, we also ought to feel okay sitting with however we are feeling. It may be sadness. I have heard from many of you. Hopelessness, silent, helplessness, numb, completely overwhelmed, and without words. It is okay to sit in whatever emotion you are feeling right now. Because even we, in our suffering in this moment, we can become better human beings when we create order, of safety, and of compassion for ourselves and others. And we will become better human beings when we feel our feelings to the fullest. A poem to conclude, entitled, "Wrap Me Up, a prayer for those who are overwhelmed," written by Rabbi Rachel Bierman. Ezrat Nafshenu, soul sustainer. I'm tempted to go get my tallis and sit with my legs tucked up underneath me and wrap myself in fabric and string. I feel small and vulnerable. I feel exposed. I feel like my nerves are raw and I jump at the sound of every notification, every phone call. My brain is telling me that these sounds are what will come before if I am forced into a new chapter of my life, a chapter that I would rather excise from my book entirely, a chapter that I would wish on no one. And so I'm tempted to get my tallis and swaddle myself in its symbolism, in its protection. I imagine that the cloth would blunt the intensity of the world outside my body and would help me contain the fear that threatens to escape. And so I ask you, sustainer of our souls, to spread your comfort over us. I ask you to wrap up us in your love and your strength. I ask that you help us to feel the comfort of the tallis that we wear, the tallis woven from the threads of our tradition, our community's support, and our family's love. We'll all say together, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. That's all of us.
So folks, here's what I'd like to do. These, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, are actually evacuation warnings, not orders. And they are in this corridor now, which is the reason why all of our phones are going crazy at the same time. I'd like for us to conclude with Aleinu and Kaddish and a following Oseh Shalom. Just to conclude the service, I want to thank Rabbi Goldberg for those much needed words and too prescient. Thank you. Aleinu is found at the bottom of page 282. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
On page 292. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation feels more than we can bear. But if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence, and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer this evening, we remember especially Glenn Gottlieb, our longtime beloved congregant, who is survived by his sisters Carrie Silverstrom and Elise Pellet, his brothers-in-law Jed Silverstrom, Ariel Pellet, and Stephen Lautenberg, and this extended circle of loved ones that includes family and his large chosen family here at Leobeck Temple. Death has taken him recently from us. And we link his name with these who have also died in the past month or whose yahrzeits are marked on this Shabbat. Jerome Adler, Evelyn Amor, John Byron, Lainey Bernhard, Selma Block, Samuel Kaplan, Rose Cooper, Rose Diener, Layosh Feldman, Janet Fink, Rabbi Alan Freeling, Kenny Friedman, Debbie Friedman, Jean Gach, Richard A. Giesberg, Gerald Y. Goldberg, Irving Goldberg, Martin Grainer, Craig Resnick, Rose Krauthammer, Chester I. Lappin, Cyril Lichman, Robert Lodge, Deborah London, Babette Frank Maccabee, Larry Mantell, Evelyn Olean, Morton Pam, Dave Schorsch, Rosalie Schwartz, June D. Simon, Erwin Sklar, Dorothy Jane Smith, Morris Stock, Barbara Rubel, Muncie Weitzner, Henry Zanville. Are there other names we should include? If so, please speak them aloud.
I hope this week won't go by with all the tragedy that we lost Peter here this week.
Yes. Holding them all in our hearts, along with those who we name in our hearts, and all of the innocent victims of violence here in this country and in troubled corners all throughout the world, a world that we must guide to peace. We say, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of the righteous is an everlasting blessing. Together we give thanks for the blessing of life with the words of Mourner's Kaddish found on page 294. As you're able, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chaye chon u'vyom echon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'isman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו, Amen. May the giver of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and let us together say, Amen.
Oh, say shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Please stay safe, everybody. Please stay safe.